start increasing your monthly payments on your bond, even if it's just by 5% or round it up to the nearest 100. Just start doing more, and then after that, whip out Excel and start working out how these things actually make a difference.
How would you like to own your home outright? What would it feel like to never make a mortgage payment ever again? Well, on our mortgage-free segment today, we're going to interview Brendan Dale from Cape Town, South Africa. He and his husband recently paid off their mortgage, and he's going to share how and why their mortgage, or bond, as they like to say, is gone out of their life for good. Welcome to the show, Brendan.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. Did I get that right? You guys call it a bond there, right, in Cape Town?
Yeah, we do.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. I want to make
It's a
sure.
home loan or a bond.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I like to start the show off with what we call the mortgage-free 3. So this is quick, short answers that help us get an understanding of your mortgage situation. Does that sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome. Well, here we go. What was your starting mortgage principal balance? And I understand rands are different than U.S. dollars, so we can do some conversion together.
Yeah, this is a bit tricky because you can't, we'll do a direct conversion, but the scale of economy is a bit different. But
Right.
Our initial amount was 1.9 million rand.
Okay.
And I did a little bit of research today. Just the average house price in Cape Town 4 years ago was 1.6. So
Okay.
it was just slightly above the average.
Got it. And then I was doing some conversions online, and it looks like around 2 million rand is close to maybe like 150,000 US dollars, something like that.
Something like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll trust you.
There we go. Cool. Awesome. Very cool. All right. So second question, how long did it take to pay off?
4.5 years.
4.5
So
years.
the
Wow.
goal was 3 years, but that clearly did not happen. That was a little too unrealistic.
Well,
Yeah.
hey, you set some great goals, and you guys hit it under 5 years. That's fantastic. So, what's your home value today then?
Right now it's just over 2 million.
Awesome.
Just because of the pandemic, house prices dropped drastically. It actually went below the purchase price not so long ago. So it's around the same.
That's incredible. Well, now you own it free and clear. So your 2 million rand home is now free and clear. That's incredible. So talk to us about why you wanted to be mortgage free.
To me, it's a big emotional thing. Being if you have debt and you know you have to pay it, all your decisions, especially your financial decisions and the job you have and things like that, it all relates to, can I still afford the bond? And if you want to go on a vacation, it's sure, but can I still pay this payment? And if you want to travel, it's like, okay, so it's just, to me, it's just this freedom of I'm not tied down by any debt. So we're actually completely debt free, 100%. And it just frees up the mind, as in it creates opportunities. Whether we take those opportunities, that's a different story. But we are able to potentially travel overseas for 6 months, and we could rent this place out and then live on the income somewhere else. So yeah, to me, it just creates opportunities and frees up that stress, which might not be a everyday stress, but you kind of think about it.
Absolutely. Well, there's something to that relief, or that, when you're taking care of your mental health. Not everything like this can fit into a calculator, right? I mean, it's an emotion, it's a feeling, it's a way of life. And yeah, I agree with you. It's a part of the reason that we wanted to do it too. Talk to us about the loan process in South Africa, because I know it's probably a little bit different from here in the US. What type of loan did you get it, and how did that process work?
Yeah, we have what's called an access bond, where you can put extra money in, and during the lifespan of your property ownership, you could potentially draw that money out again. So if you have saved extra, you could take it out. And yeah, generally you would pay up to 10% deposit up front, and you wouldn't, only if you're a first time homeowner, you can get 100% loan off. Otherwise it's normally a 80 or 90%. So we got a 90%. And then yeah, we just put in extra money, and whether or not the bank recalculated our installments, we still just paid what we wanted to. So they forever dropped the installments, so that you only paid what you need to, and we just kept paying what we really wanted to.
That's incredible. I love it. So one thing that I have a question on is, sometimes and I'm not sure how this is in South Africa, there is maybe a prepayment penalty. Like if you decided to pay off your bond early, there may be some fees for that. Did you guys experience anything like that where you are in South Africa? It didn't happen for me, but I understand for some international situations that can happen.
Generally, if you give your bank 3 months notice, so 90 days, then there's no penalty involved. There is a small fee once you are mortgage free and to actually transfer the bond, well, to transfer the property into your own name, then there is a little legal fee that you pay, and you can't get around that, unfortunately.
Got it. Yeah, I had to pay some of those penalties too, or not penalties. They're just sort of fees to, finish everything off. It's just sort of that last jab in the side to before you're all done, right?
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. So let's talk about how you did this, because you did it in under 5 years. That is a very fast time to become mortgage free for a lot of people. So what steps did you take to pay off this mortgage early?
I think it was a very big thing is to buy within your sort of snack bracket, if you can say it like that. So buy what you can actually afford. So that's one thing. And then we lived quite frugally. We weren't quite extreme as many blogs I see. We weren't eating baked beans out of a tin, but we were quite frugal. We left off. We haven't done major renovations or major maintenance on the place. We've put all the spare money we've had into the bond, and every time I got a bonus at work, I'll just put that money straight in. And really, literally any few $100 that we had, we just put straight in.
That's incredible. So, you said you lived frugally. Were there any specific things that you did to maybe decrease your expenses during that time frame, or was it just sort of a lifestyle that you guys have led?
Just a lifestyle, and also I'm quite a avid budgeter. I love budgeting, and yeah, it's really just keeping track of where the money's going. And oftentimes it's not nice to have those questions which is more important to us, but sometimes when other things come up, it's like, okay, well, what do we actually want to do now? And so there have been times where we had to give up some nice opportunities, and yet other times we embrace them. Sometimes a once in a lifetime happens, and you just go with it.
Yeah. Well, I understand there's always two people to the equation when you talk about marriage and partnership. So was your husband always on board with this? Did you guys have any disagreements on it?
Yeah, absolutely. Many along the way. And it's a tricky thing, finances in a relationship. But yeah, no, we weren't always on the same page, but we've got through it now.
How did you solve some of those situations where it was saying, hey, I really want to make this bond go, and maybe your partner was like, well, can we do some other things? I mean, could you give us an example? How did that conversation go?
I think it's often been around the short weekends away where you just like grab an Airbnb and go somewhere. And to me, I would see that as a bit of a waste of money because we have a goal to reach. Whereas his argument always is that it is good for us to do these things and have a bit of a break. So I think the solution always is just lots of conversation, open conversation, sharing how you feel in discussing things. And then unfortunately, there's always compromise somewhere along the line. But, sometimes we could go away for the weekend, but maybe just choose a cheaper place or a closer place or do something else. I think there's no specific tips I can give, unfortunately, other than just talk your way through it and figure out what you guys can do.
I think you did give the tip. I think originally it sounds like maybe there was a 3-year goal and then you guys hit it at just under 5, maybe with some compromise on life and enjoying things. And your point on open communication being a strong key to keep the relationship strong, especially with these big goals, I think is really important. So I think that's an astute point. Can you give us just a general understanding of what you guys do for a living and maybe income and things like that, so people understand, because this is a big thing you guys did within 5 years.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a Scrum Master, if you know what that is. So I'll just say it's a glorified team leader. So normally within an IT company, in an agile company, you would have a bunch of software developers and testers, and I play a big role in communication, soft skills, and getting the team to do what they need to do, and communication with management, and kind of not running the team, but facilitating the team, I think. So that's what I do. And my husband is a qualified chef, so he does a lot of freelance catering and private catering and photo shoots and things like that.
That's great. You probably have some great food at your place, huh?
Mm, indeed.
Does the Scrum Master thing come from? Is that like a rugby term, and that made its way into the business world?
It is, yes.
Okay,
Strange
that's
enough. I
cool.
don't know the full history, but yeah, it is.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, getting the team together and making some sense out of the nonsense. Right. I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. So when you guys paid this off, was this a big deal? How did you celebrate? How are things different for you now?
It was a big deal. We haven't celebrated though. It's very terrible. We do have a bottle of bubbles in the fridge that's waited for the right opportunity. I think a big thing, obviously, we've had lots of lockdowns. I'm sure you guys have also, and life isn't quite how it used to be. So we haven't gone out and done anything big. We should. We've been talking about it, but I think how life has changed is right now. I'm just really focusing on investments because obviously the last 5 years I haven't really been doing much investments, and I do have a goal to retire early, although I'm in my mid 40s, so it won't be that early. But I'm hoping to retire by 50 or so, and I'm busy sort of aiming towards that. But that's not too hard and fast. I just want to be financially independent and sort of comfortable, and that's the current goal is working towards that.
I love that. That's great. Well, I'm also shooting for around 52, so you and I can partner on our goals there. That's very cool. Well, so early retirement. You said that age might not be too early, but a lot of folks in our country are maybe looking at 65 for retirement. And even with some of the debt that we have in our country and the financial obligations that people still have, people may be working a lot later than that. Tell us how you're going to use your investments, your plan to retire early. How does somebody do that?
For me, being debt free. So obviously we have a place to live now forever. We currently have a car. We might need to buy a new one, but I think it's kind of having your major things covered, and then working out what your monthly expenses are. I use the rule of 25, where you sort of work out what you're sort of aiming for. But it's all about, to me, it's minimizing the expenses and having your major things covered, and then just knowing what your numbers are and sort of playing around within that.
So you mentioned investing, and there's a lot of folks that hear these stories and they're like, wow, you know what, you could have made a lot more money in the market than paying off your mortgage. I'm not sure what your interest rate was, and what I guess that's the first question. What was your interest rate when you're paying off the mortgage?
So interest rates in South Africa are super high.
Okay.
So for us, it really makes sense. So when we started the bond, it was on 11%.
11%. Okay.
Yeah. So then you probably could still make more money if you invest it, but 11% is quite steep.
Absolutely.
To
Yeah.
me, it's definitely worth pushing that. Whereas just last year after the pandemic, the interest rates dropped to about 7%, but certainly not less than that.
Sure. Well, that sort of changes the conversation for us too here in the U.S. For example, I paid off our mortgage that was at 3%, so it's very low compared to what you guys are experiencing there in South Africa. So a lot of the time, I hear from people, well, why wouldn't you have just invested in the market? And my answer always is I did both. It's okay to do both. I was investing for a long time, maxing out some tax advantage retirement options here that we have in the U.S. and paying off the mortgage because I felt the financial benefit of investing in the market made a lot of sense for us, but also the emotional benefit of never having a mortgage ever again and being able to have some options and freedom, as you've described, was worth it as well. So now that you are mortgage-free, bond-free, what's your plan for investing in the market, and how is that maybe different from investing here in the U.S.?
I'm not sure how it would be different. I'm a very boring investor. I just do the passive investment strategy. So I'm just going with ETFs, sort of a well-rounded portfolio. I've got quite a lot of local South African investments, but I have recently started branching out a lot into the US and also into Australia because we've got a platform that allows one to do it very easily. But yeah, I just do straightforward indexes, very slow and boring.
That's exactly what I do too. Maybe you could give it, for anybody who's watching this video on YouTube or listening to the podcast, maybe you can get a shout out to that platform that allows you to invest.
Oh, sure. Yeah. It's Easy Equities.
Easy Equities. Okay, great. Yeah. Maybe that'll help people as they're looking to invest, during their journey if they're in South Africa as well. Very cool. Well, if somebody's listening right now, we want to inspire folks that are seeing your story and they're like, hey, This would be really cool to own my home free and clear. What is one small step they could take following this interview to get started?
Start increasing your monthly payment on your bond, even if it's just by 5% or round it up to the nearest 100. Just start doing more. And then after that, whip out Excel and start working out how these things actually make a difference. Because I was tracking it month by month and just seeing where we are.
Well, it's worked. Your diligence has paid off. Brendan, this is fantastic. I'm glad you're here to inspire us. I understand that you have a blog where you track a lot of this information and maybe help people on their journey. Where can people connect with you and maybe learn a little bit about what you've got going on?
Sure. My blog is called takechargeofyourmoney.blog. And I'm very active on Twitter it's called Your Money Blog with underscores in between each word. But yeah, it would be great if people have a look.
Excellent. Well, Brendan, thank you so much for inspiring us today to get rid of our bond, get rid of our mortgage, and experience some freedom today. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Only a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.